Good morning, good morning, good morning. I have a dog sat underneath my armpit, and I am joined by the very, very gorgeous, let's bring that back a bit, Naomi Gilmour. Hi, Naomi.
Good morning.
How's you?
Yes, all good, thank you. Big cup of tea.
Big cup. Hey. The ego from my new cup of tea, look. Ooh. Brand new cups. Loving them.
Oh, I love that. I do have cup envy now.
Last night, there'll be one coming out to you because they were supposed to be around for the event we did last week. So there'll be one way to your house. And you'll be able to have one too. So it is lovely to have you here. It's lovely to see you because I know that you've got some really, really, really amazing kind of path journey to share. And it would be lovely if you would tell us all how you came to where you are today. So you've been an entrepreneur for quite a long time, haven't you?
I have. Do you know what? It'll be my 18th anniversary in January.
You don't look old enough. You don't look old enough.
Yeah, 1st of January 2000, I ventured into self-employment.
So where did that come from? Was that just kind of a millennium, I'm going for it? All the computers are going to crash in the morning, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think... I was in the corporate world, obviously. I was actually working national accounts. So I used to cover Birmingham to Inverness and Ireland, that quite small territory, out on the road all the time. And I think for me, it was, I'd had some life changes, actually, which all my kind of involvement in life, I've always been around life change. I decided I wanted to be at home more, that I wanted, I was actually working in... hotels in those days, so I was kind of the work that I was doing, I was coming up with a lot of people that run their own agencies and kind of thinking, I could do that, and that's really what started me out. And I got a little office straight away, and staff, and that was cool. Yeah, so I learned a lot, and that was back in the days when kind of Google didn't exist, and to get on the internet you had to dial up and hear that, all that kind of ISDN wasn't even around. It was like way back when. I remember my dad ringing me one day and saying, there's this new thing come out, put into the search bar Google, and spelt it out to me, because that wasn't even around in those days. So so I've experienced quite a journey with through all my kind of self-employment.
So what was that first business all about?
So my first business I had, as I said, was working in hotels. I actually set up a hotel booking agency. So we used to provide conferences, facilities, and accommodation for kind of businesses, for people that were out on the road. So we'd actually use, obviously, the internet for sourcing, making sure we got the best deals for clients, all that kind of thing. Built my own website, obviously. And yeah, so I think really, for the last 18 years, I've always been online with whatever I've kind of been doing. So that was a really interesting business. But then I decided to follow my dream that I always wanted, to have a home interiors shop. So I love home interiors. I'm really into it anyway as a hobby still now. So I opened up a shop. Still had the hotel booking agency, but actually my sister took that over after a while. And I had a shop with kind of beautiful products, furniture, all that kind of thing. And that was around the days of kind of eBay starting. So I was one of the first sellers on eBay. I went on to have children, and I finished up actually closing the shop for a while. Had my children at home, and I used to have the stock in the cellar, and I'd been wrapping up in my dining room, and my poor husband at the time, because the house was just taken over by boxes and deliveries and stuff. And that business just grew really, really quickly. So I literally went from working at home with, my two daughters at home with me, kind of juggling being, a mom and getting all these parcels and everything out, to literally having quite a big unit, 8 staff, importing from China. And it really went boom really quite quickly, up until I turned over nearly £1 million in that business in 2009. And obviously the same thing, was involved in all the systems and the online marketing of it, and it was predominantly online. So I did have retail premises, but most of the stuff came through online, and then was just backed up if people wanted to come down and kind of look at any physical product. So yeah, it was really, really fab. And I learned a lot of lessons in that business of taking it from kind of nothing right up to there. For it all to come crashing down on me nicely as I was going through a divorce in 2010. But at the time it was kind of like, felt like the worst thing in the world. But now I realise that it was just all part of my journey, and I've learned so much from that. And then I set Branching Out up, which was really set up as a social media training company, and I decided that I'd really learned to grow my own businesses very successfully online, so that I would go and help other people to do exactly the same thing. And I used to have little mini all logoed up with all my social media logos, and I used to go around training individuals and small businesses on how to kind of use social media, because social media then was actually in its infancy still, actually hadn't been around that long, so it was kind of new to everybody. So I did that, and really the business has really evolved. I've evolved massively. I've had a lot of life change myself over the last couple of years, and actually it was a conversation with you, Emma, earlier in the year, where I said, we were having a conversation about kind of where I was going, what I was doing, and my business had really shifted. I was doing far more web design and kind of building people's online presence from the inside out, and most of my days are spent developing web design, making sure that is sort of like the heart center of businesses online. And I wasn't doing any social media training anymore. I don't tend to do any kind of running around the country anymore. Most of the stuff that I do is online, and I think it was you that did challenge me about the Branching Out name, and was I still in love with it? Did I love it? And it was at that point that I realized it was holding me back, and it was holding me back from myself. And I work very much with people being themselves online and getting out and being truly authentic, and I wasn't doing so much of that myself. And you and some other clients that I work with had said to me, when we work with you one-to-one, you're so much more than you actually portray that you are in terms of your personality and everything. So that's when Happy Heart Online Marketing was born. And I've been working on that since, I think it was April we had that conversation, actually. So in the background, I have been working on stuff since then. And launched my new website yesterday. I'm very excited. And obviously it's not finished, because websites never are finished. And even as I was hitting the take it out of maintenance and get it live button, I was thinking, I could put this on it and I could do this. So I've already got a list of things that I'd like to add. But I believe websites should be like that anyway. They should move with your business, as I know firsthand working with you, Emma.
What are you trying to say?
That you like to keep your website fresh, up to date, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I've been waiting a week. No? Yeah, we had a conversation. Well, we've had an ongoing conversation, haven't we? About my website. And between you and my gorgeous designer, Vicky, you've managed to keep me away from changing it thus far, but I think I might have got my own way now that there's a actual technical reason. I've found a technical reason on usability why it has to be changed.
You have been trying.
And when we look at where you've started, and you started with a hotel bookings agency before people were booking hotels online. It wasn't like we do now, like going to hotels.com and getting hotel bookings in that way.
Yeah.
You were then into the first kind of sellers on eBay. You were then the first sort of trainers of social media as social media was in its infancy. And now you are empowering entrepreneurs to build their own websites and to look after the heart and home of their business.
Yeah.
So What would you say has been kind of the big lessons that you've learned on that journey along the way?
Oh, wow. I've learned so many. Where to start? I think to trust yourself, to kind of ride the waves of change, not to feel that you can't change, that you can't evolve, that, you know, that you've set up a business doing this and it's not really working, it's not kind of fitting with what you want to do, and actually too scared to change because it feels too enormous and too big. Got to see it through, yeah. Got to see it through because you've started something. Of actually, why do you? And the same if you're kind of doing something and then you find that you're not loving it so much, is kind of like really focusing and being true to yourself about what it is that you love and what it is that you think is important to you and important to your clients. But I actually think more, you know, it's about, I speak to loads of people who kind of like develop products or develop things because they think that that's what they should be doing, instead of kind of really listening to their intuition of, is it? You know, and doing what you love as opposed to kind of doing what you think people will expect of you. That's probably quite a biggie. And to get really, you know, good people around you to kind of connect, make sure that you know, that you're not right for everybody. You know, I know, and it took me quite a long time, this one actually, of kind of hating the feeling of being judged, not good enough, and therefore trying to kind of people please and put myself into positions where, you know, I was over delivering. I was absolutely exhausted because I never had any time left because I was undercharging, over delivering, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's about making sure you surround yourself with good people. You know, I've obviously got a great group of people, you included, Emma, that I work with online. Some of which I've never actually met. You know, we've obviously met, but there's, you know, I work with Vicky from Branding Therapy. We've never actually met, but some days we just hang out together online.
We all in real life.
She did say that. We had that discussion last week about how tall or small we actually were. So I think, yeah, good people and being true to yourself, I think, are two real biggies. And not to be afraid. Do you know, I've just been talking this morning to somebody about perfection, of like, we were talking about this last week, of like, no one's perfect, don't try and be perfect, don't, you know, we make mistakes, we say the wrong things, and, you know, that doesn't matter, what's wrong, what's right anyway. But I think that's around the fear of judgment, and I used to sit in a lot of fear of judgment. I think particularly actually after my big business went, I went through kind of a period of feeling like a failure, and feeling like people had judged me. And I remember Woolworths actually went the week after me, and it made me feel really good. So I thought, actually, they're a really big company, and they had problems.
What about the pick and mix?
What about the pick and mix? That's it. So yeah, I think it is just being true to yourself and following what you love, and just don't be afraid to kind of say what you want to say, and just be yourself.
I think that's the really interesting one there is about, for me, is the plan, and, you know, seeing things through no matter what. And I find that a really, really interesting one, because I've heard, you know, a couple of people talking about, you know, just stick to the plan. But what if the plan is shit? What if I don't like the plan anymore? You know, I think that the great one is the fluidity of what you do, and being able to go, actually, you know, we're moving now forwards, and we're moving now forwards. And I think that, you know, that's an amazing attribute that most entrepreneurs have, regardless of whether they're trying to push it down or not. They have this kind of ability to see the fluidity of it and be able to move forwards. So, Happy Heart, tell us about kind of the ethos of Happy Heart and what you're all about.
Okay, so the ethos of Happy Heart really is, obviously, I understand the internet inside out. I understand the whole kind of 360 degrees of kind of ads and social media and email marketing and all the processes. And, you know, it doesn't mean that I love all of it, and I don't focus on all of it, because there's lots of things that I don't kind of do in a day-to-day kind of role. But for me, I believe your website is the heart center of your business online. So it's your online brochure. I, describe it as your shop front. And it's not saying, if you're in business that you've got to have a website straight away. I'm not saying that, because, many people can cope with social media platforms and things to be going on with. But what a website is it should be your true essence of everything that you are about, that it's kind of a central portal, a central hub for people then to be able to come back to, for you to be able to connect with you. And, if you've got a website that you're super proud of, that you love, then it really, really sets you free with your social media, with your content, with your email, with everything, because you've just got that central flow. Again, we're going to go back to that word being flow and fluid, that people can come through your website, and that you can redirect them and signpost them to wherever they want to be. But for me, that is your heart, kind of your heart center. And also for me, it's about, I'm doing what I truly love, and the people that I work with are doing what they truly love. And for me, it's about bringing those visions to life and then really actually loving their website and feeling uber proud of it. It's not just about getting a website and sticking it up there and thinking, well, I've got a website and that'll do. It is about truly I'm feeling empowered and feeling happy. And, I know we work with a bit of Emma's really good at kind of bringing words out of you, of things that you feel about your business. And one of the things that, I want people to feel about their business is happy, on a daily basis, of not feeling overwhelmed and stuck and out of control and all the things that people feel. I actually want them to feel happy and empowered and in control and all those things. And I'm proud to share that with the world, because when they do that, your online crowd automatically attracts to you anyway. So that was kind of where all the happy, and I've got a massive love of hearts, so I've got hearts everywhere. It's my favorite shape. I think I counted there was about 50 in this room one day, so why wouldn't it have heart in the name? Yeah.
It started with a drawing that your little girl did when we were on a call when she was off school poolie, wasn't it?
It was, actually. And she'd drawn me, we were still with the branching out name at that point, but she'd actually drawn me a light bulb of ideas, but it had a love heart in the middle of it. So it all kind of spanned out from there. And interesting you should say that, because we didn't discuss what we were going to discuss today. But she also drew me this, which I've got on my desk.
Oh, I love that.
Which is Naomi G, and it says, this little love heart I've stuck over it, says brave, focused and energized, which actually that is pretty much my brand in one picture that's on my desk, with all the rainbow colours. So yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
I know that you said there that about it being your heart, and it's kind of that one place, isn't it, that you've got control over.
Yeah.
If you choose to have control over it. There's a lot of people who want to take control off you, but it's the one place of your online presence that you can say, actually, I can do what I like with that.
Yeah.
Oh, the dog's just fallen off my
knee. I think that's, when kind of I've spoken to people in the past about, you can connect with your audience on social, you can establish lots of things on, LinkedIn, on Facebook, on all the social platforms, but actually you don't own that data, and at any point that could come crashing down. Who knows what's going to happen? But with your website, you are in control of being able to put, your content on there. And I think, most of the people I work with are either kind of have had a website in the past that they've either not been able to control or they've not been able to update. And some kind of, not all, but some web designers, particularly if they come from a graphic design background, are quite precious about design, and therefore won't give access to sort of I think I have actually, in fact, I have got a blog coming out, which is, does your website designer hold you to ransom? Are you being held to ransom by your website designer? And it is that, ability to not be able to access your website, to be able to not update it. And that just can be really frustrating and can hold you back. And there's lots of people that, don't want to access the website and don't want to update it for themselves. And that's cool. I do lots of updates for people. But for me, it's about empowering them to be able to do it themselves if they want to, for them to be able to update content, put images on, put blog posts on, put video up there, whatever that is. I think it's really, really important for people to be able to do that.
It's kind of like that whole, I'm sat here on a Sunday afternoon and I've got this that I want to put out there, and if you can't do it, that's really, really frustrating.
It is.
And I know that we've had conversations quite a few times where I've, sent people your way because they've been locked out of being able to even create a page in their website.
Yeah, I'm actually dealing with one at the moment, and the domain name's actually completely no ownership of the web address.
Yeah,
we're trying to get the web address out of current provider because it's been set up in current provider's name, and then there's a charge to get that out, which is just ridiculous.
You just can't believe it, really, can you? And because I suppose it's because we work in such a way that we want to empower people to do things, whereas, I suppose it's quite old school business trying to lock you in to them.
Yeah, I think, that's how it used to be. So it did used to be, before kind of the WordPress and, the kind of all the DIY type stuff that is around there now. I think it was, I think websites were locked down. It was something that you paid like £1,000 for in it, and it just sat there as a static thing. And I always say, that's like having a shop front that you open a shop on the high street and you fill it with beautiful stuff, and then you never redress it. You just leave it, it just wouldn't do it. But even now that does happen with a lot of websites of kind of ta-da, my website's done. We'll just leave it as it is. And the other kind of old school thing with websites, which is still around, in some sites that I look at, is that whole kind of just totally impersonal, talking like you're in a corporate environment, particularly if you've come out of a corporate world. And actually, I think some of my early ones would have probably been a bit more we're bigger than we are. We're a bigger team. I had a team of 3 in my first business, and I'm sure I made out that was a lot more because I've come out of the corporate world and I was dealing with corporate clients. And that's the way it used to be. People, here at, branching out, we're a team of, well, we're not, it's me, Happy Heart Online, it's me, you're Emma, and people work with us because we are who we are. And I think that's, and there is still some of that goes on of kind of, that sort of screen of we're a bigger corporation or whatever.
Even just the simple thing of use of the word we, when actually it's you or me or I. And, what are the big kind of, if you were looking at setting up a website, what are the big things to make sure that you get on there?
Oh, right. Okay. So your About You page is one of the biggest, which I know you'll agree with. Really, really underutilized, but we all are human beings and we're all quite nosy and we all quite like finding out who's actually behind this business. And also we all do business with people, so we connect with people. So if you go onto a website and you can't find out who they are, what they look like, or even what the name is.
That amazes me when I get into them positions.
Then it is kind of what defines us in business is us. There's other people that do what we do, but it is our personality, our connection, our engagement, obviously our skills and our knowledge and all that. But it is, you have to be able to work with somebody and get on with somebody. And even with, I work with a lot of retailers as well, even buy a product with somebody that you can connect to, because why would I buy it from you rather than somebody else? So About You, definitely be able to contact you and engage with your social. So links to your social that don't just take you off onto your social media and away from your website, which I see all the time, where somebody clicks on a Facebook link and then you're off in Facebook and then that's it. How can we get back to the website? So social and kind of contact. I would say they're probably really, really important. And then obviously kind of how you can help them in terms of, it doesn't need to be all about you. It's what's in it for them, of how can you help and serve the people that are coming in to connect with you. We talked last week about a search facility, didn't we? Which I've been looking at more this week since your comments of being able to search. Do you know what it's about? It's about easy navigation. It's about good customer journey, so that when somebody comes onto your website, that they know what they're meant to be doing. If you don't know what you want them to do, then how do you expect them to know what you want them to do?
And that conversation that we had came as a result of me asking my husband what he does. when he goes to a website, because, you know, all of our behavior is quite different. And because we work online, it's really hard to get that kind of objective look at what people are generally doing as they're searching around things. And he went, I go straight for the search bar. I go straight for the search bar to find what I want. I want what I want, and then I want it delivered to me. And that was kind of like, whoa. And then we had that conversation, didn't we, about that search facility?
Yeah.
And actually, yeah,
it's about, you know, every website's unique, and every set of kind of audiences are unique as well. And that's why it's, you know, I will always say, like, what is your biggest objective with your website for individual people, because it will be different for everybody. And, you know, if you're in a particular, if you're offering services, which one of those, what is it that is priority for you? Because it is about taking customers on those journeys. And I've worked, we know quite a lot of clients recently where they kind of dealing with more than one ideal client. So it might be they're dealing with corporate on consultancy or something, and then they're dealing with small businesses as well. They have very, very different customer journeys. It's very, very different language that you need to use on a website. So it's about making sure that you're not alienating either of those kind of client bases, but you can take them on a journey and that you can educate them as to where they need to be within that.
Yeah.
So, but actually, if you know, on a very basic kind of site, I would say, you know, you always need a home page as kind of like your central place. Home, about, contact, and a blog for you to be able to keep your site up to date and fresh. And your blog provides great content for you to be able to use out on your social media. So, you know, you can put, it enables you to show and demonstrate your thought leadership and all the skills that you've got. There's loads of information you can put on there to serve your crowd and give them information. And it helps you oodles to be able to put stuff across social as well.
I love that word, oodles. That's a good word.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down. Oodles.
I still haven't used nincompoop yet, other than saying
great name.
Poop is going to be used in a big way. And yeah, I think, do you think that people shy away from, so you've got, if you're product based, it's kind of really easy to go, oh, here's my product. Do you think that service based businesses are more likely to shy away from how they can actually help people on their website on a paid basis, rather than just, here's my free stuff and here's my blog and here's my this and here's my that, and I'm going to hide my paid for stuff right in here?
Yeah, and I think that's generally something that people in service industry, I mean, that's quite a sweeping generalisation, but struggle with more, because as you say, a product is a product. What's really good to do, and I do it with all mine, is package stuff up so that it's kind of like, you know, that you can see exactly what it is, really transparent with pricing. And, you know, not everybody loves that. I love that for me. I've always been really transparent with my pricing. And I just think it breaks down all those barriers, that if somebody wants to work with me, they're not going, oh, well, I'll email her, but she might come back with a really scary quote, and then it'll be embarrassing because I don't want to work with her or not work with her. And so it breaks all of that down, because actually you can go onto my website and you can see all my pricing of everything that I do. So I think, yes, I think in general, they do kind of go, oh, well, should have put, I'll just put my price on a pricing page at the bottom. But for me, it's about, you know, these days people are busy. People haven't got the time to contact people necessarily to kind of engage and buy. And for me, it's about making it as easy as possible for your customer, for, you know, that visitor on your website to be able to go into your website, to know where they want to go. It can be quite a simple website, but it can have depth to it. I think you refer it to like an Alice in Wonderland site of, you can kind of go in at one level, but you can get very, very deep into a website if you want to, without bombarding your visitor with a ton of information up front. And I would, you know, encourage people to put prices out there to kind of take them on that journey to that price though. But it doesn't mean you have to hide it in the depths. It's about making sure that they're in the right place. You know, you don't necessarily need to put it on a news flash on the homepage. It is just about making sure that you are establishing what their pain points are, how you can help them and how you can serve them. And yes, put free stuff on there as well, because that's really good for list building.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have to use them horrid, garishly yellow buttons with the padlock on that people all used at one point. Do you remember that?
There's still a lot of those around, Emma. I hate to tell you that.
Oh, they make my eyes bleed.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and actually, this is a good point. There tends to be sort of industry sectors that do stuff like that. So, and actually, my industry is one of them. So, you know, web designers, hosting has to be very serious and very, with all vector images that are all very, two-dimensional, and because it's really boring subject. So I'll make our website really boring too. And, you know, if you go onto sites like that, they're not particularly engaging. It is techie. It is, you know, just because you do techie stuff doesn't mean that your website needs to look completely techie and scary. And, you know, my new website's testament to that, as yours is.
Yeah, you don't even look like a geek. Just she is, but she doesn't even look like one.
That's not my one either, because I'm good at translating.
And she rocks up in her silver shoes and her pink hair, and I love her so much. If you obviously there's people who have no website at all, and like you say, you don't have to immediately have a website. And I would always say to people, you know, if it's a barrier, start building your crowd first. Would that be the same sort of advice that you would give?
Yeah, and I've actually got a blog that's just gone out of that, of doing a new website, and my answer will be ideally yes. Yeah. But with ideally being in there, because, you know, when people are starting out, I know when, you know, I started out in the early days, I had loads of money to set up systems and stuff because I'd come out of the corporate world, I had money, but actually when I set branching out up, I had absolutely nothing. I'd gone from, you know, turning over nearly £1 million a year to bailiffs coming and taking my car away. I couldn't feed my kids. I couldn't pay the rent. My dad lent me 200 quid to get myself kind of, you know, I had no money. You know, I built my own website, but even that took me, you know, a while to do, because for me, it was about getting out on social, connecting with people, getting up there, you know, my time spent. My priority was feeding my kids in those days, you know. So I get that. I get people that have budgets, you know, that they don't. And so, you know, you can do it yourself. You can, you know, you can get a one-pager up there. You can, you know, as a central kind of thing, just with your social posts on there. But it doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing. It can grow with your business, you know.
It will grow anyway, won't it?
Grows and evolves anyway. I think I'm actually on that. Well, how many websites have you had, Emma? I think I'm on my third. I think you have more than me.
Might have done.
Funny. So yeah, it is.
You're working on number 5.
Will it be 5? Yeah.
I think that'll be number 5.
Yeah. Oh, good. But the thing is, the tech evolves and changes, styles evolve and change, functionality evolves and changes, our businesses evolve and change, and it goes back to that whole riding those waves of the flow through change. And, you know, changing life, changing business, changing website, whatever that is, we all need to, you know, it's that kind of, what is it, about dancing through the storms? What's that saying? You know,
wait for the rain. And when you, you know, you took a big word there that has been kind of a bit of a buzzword for me as I've been looking at my site recently, functionality. And I know that we know what we're talking about. What we're talking about?
How you can use a site. So how you can use a site, how a consumer, how a customer can use a site, in terms of everything within that site. And that's a big thing with customer journey as well, of the usability, I guess, of a site, and the gadgets and the gizmos and the stuff that you can put in there without it compromising a customer journey. And there's a balance to be had with that always. And sometimes we have to, you know, say, well, we want this gizmo gadget, but actually if it's going to interfere with customer journey and the end user experience, then it's actually working negatively. And it's about recognizing all of that stuff.
That's been our big issue, hasn't it? Is that it's beautiful, and it, you know, it was the only reason we went with the theme that we went with, was this beautiful opening up in the center of the screen of content. But we were finding that people were getting it blocked by pop-in blockers, and I continued to still have a good percentage of desktop users, don't I? You know, compared to the national kind of averages.
Yeah.
So people weren't getting past the homepage. So whilst this was the most beautiful and amazing element of the website that we truly, truly loved, it's had to go because it was stopping people getting any further. Yeah. And again, it's back to the kind of search facilities. And I know that I looked over your website before it went live and I went, from a functionality point of view, will they know to click there? Yeah. Because we just presume, and because we're working on it and because we spend an awful lot.
We'll share that. So when I shared my website with Emma, obviously it's very close to my heart. I find probably building my own harder than building anybody else's because it's my stuff. And there was some buttons that I'd put in there that Emma said, will people actually know to click on those? So I've put like a slight hover on them so that if you don't know what a hover is, it's just where it's slightly changing colour. It's got a little box that appears so that when you kind of put your mouse past it, it will jump out at you. It'll hover over, which makes it much clearer. So functionality with all those small bits, but they're the bits that matter. That is the stuff that matters, the customer journey, because as I said before, people coming onto your site, it is about keeping them on your site as well. And that's maybe we should touch on of bounce rate. So, as much as you want to keep your site fresh in Google to get seen in Google, there's lots of things that you can do on your website to get seen on Google, things like, your written content, even your images, about optimizing names and keywords. And I could talk about it all day long. But it's also really important to have an engaging site that people stay on, because there's something called bounce rate, which is the way that Google monitors. I've got the bouncy ball at the ready.
Here we go.
There we go. And I do haven't got enough space. It monitors how people come onto your site. Got it. And bounce off again. And if people are doing that, if they're coming into a site and they're bouncing straight off again because they can't get any further, or because it's just not engaging and they think it looks crap and it's not for me, then Google will see that your site isn't that interesting and engaging, and therefore it won't bump you up in the rankings on Google. So that's an important factor as well. And actually loads of people kind of overstress about SEO, of like making it all really big and scary, and it doesn't need to be big and scary. It's about making sure that you've got fresh content on your site, that you're aware about what people will be putting into Google to find you, and that you're bearing that in mind when you are sharing content, but not completely spamming it so it becomes, just a piece of keyworded content as opposed to a really nice blog that you want to read. And I would always write for the user as opposed to keyword stuffing anything.
Yeah, as opposed to Google. I think that the interesting thing with bounce, so like you say, bounce is about people coming and going, and how many people do that. And it's been one of the things that I've been looking at more this year. Don't look just now, it's appalling. But my bounce rate's gone up massively because I've been running a Facebook ad to some blogs. And that is probably quite normal in that you're saying, come and read this, and they read that, and then they go.
Yeah.
So you would expect that to increase your bounce rate. But what I've been looking at and what we've been talking about is the Alice in Wonderland effect. It's about you then being able to take people, now what? Always ask the question when you get to the end of something, now what? Now where would you go? What else might you want to hear about? What else would they want to know? Because then you can bring people round into other areas, other information, other things, which helps and supports them, but also allows you to increase that bounce rate.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to increase the bounce rate.
We're decreasing, Emma.
Decrease the bounce rate, increase retention. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Then everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
So can you, you touched on SEO then, and people being quite bothered about SEO. And I know that I've had a few of these conversations recently about it. What would you say are the main things that you can do that mean that you're okay as far as SEO is concerned?
Yeah. Okay. So SEO, I say people over worry it. It is a biggie because there's no point in you having a beautiful website that doesn't get found. You know what I mean? So it is super important, but I think sometimes people can get too stressed about it because they find it too techy, or think that there's some sort of magic formulation that they can do to make it all just be seen on Google. So, you know, there's basic things like make sure that your website is submitted with Google. There is a thing that you can, if you type into Google, you can type in site : / and then your domain name, and it'll bring up all the pages that your website and anybody else's website have got ranked with Google. So it brings in all their little content that you can kind of have a look at, which is quite a good way to see. Emma's scooting off to do hers now, I can tell. You find it. So you can do that to kind of see what sort of page they're coming up. So it's about thinking about what your, you know, prospective clients, what your audience is putting into Google. Very often we Google questions. So I joke that I Googled, should I get divorced, into Google when I was in that moment of life. Or can I just stay in this any longer, or do I need to do it now?
Thinks that there's actually someone taking that question.
I love that. Brilliant. So questions are a key one, and I'll often say, you know, if you've got clients that ring you up, what's the first thing that out of their mouth? What is it they usually say to you? Because that is probably what they'll be saying to Google. You know, I was working with a beauty salon not so long ago, and they were saying that, you know, they were looking at fake tan. Of when people ring us up, they say, I'm a bit scared of like having a fake tan, and what does it involve? Well, you know what, they'll be asking Google those same questions as what does a fake tan involve, if they've got that fear factor around it. So it's kind of going back to those, you know, day-to-day examples. If somebody comes into your shop, or somebody rings you up, or what are the type of things that they are asking you, because they will be asking Google the same questions. And
it hurt to get my nose pierced.
Yes. Did you Google it?
Yeah, of course I did. And I watched the horror stories.
So there you go. And away then you can have a frequently asked question page on your website, or you can have blogs that answer those questions. Therefore, that content is connecting and, well, always, but stand more chance of coming up in Google to answer the questions. So people will be coming into your site through the knowledge that is on the site. So frequently asked questions is a great one, as is blog posts. And then location. So if you're based in a specific location and you're trying to attract a local crowd, things like testimonials that have got, you know, the name of the person and the location of where they are. So, you know, if they're in Manchester, that, you know, Sue Smith from Manchester, or Sue Smith from Congleton, where I live, or whatever else. So you're getting location in there subtly without spamming stuff. Images is so let me just, before I move on to images, let me just say with blog posts, if you've got a WordPress site, there's a couple of plugins. You can either use Yoast, or you can use All-in-One SEO, which will actually mark your content a little bit like a teacher with a red pen. And it'll say, you know, you've got all those right, and you've got keywords in the right place, but got a red line because it's not mentioned in the header. So Google looks at a website from top down. So it'll see your domain name first, and it'll see, look at me with 2 pens. Actually, Emma, that's one of yours.
One of mine?
Yes. Yeah. It looks at it top down. So it'll look at your domain name, the page name, then the heading, titles to see, and it'll count those with slightly bigger relevance than the other content. So what Yoast does is it sort of marks that as to the positioning of where you've got those keywords and phrases that you want to sort of optimize for. So whether it's a blog post or a page within your website. So that's one thing. Written content is one thing. Images is a massive underutilized area on websites. So within an image, it's about getting your file names called what they actually are in terms of searches. And also there's something called an alt tag that you can complete. So what tends to happen with a website is you'll upload a load of product, for example, and it'll all be called either IMG00647 or DSC 5 million trillion numbers after it, because that's the way your camera has filed it, and therefore you put it onto your computer and it finishes on your website exactly the same. And that's what Google will see. So Google will see that as a description. So you're far better actually saying what that product is, or what that service is, or what you're doing in that image behind it that's relevant to those keywords and phrases. And I've built e-commerce sites before that have actually sold out on product lines within days, just because the images were optimized within. I remember a cream and blue fish cushion, particularly with the fish design on it, out of stock within 2 days, just because images were optimized, and therefore Google was picking the image up. It's coming through onto the homepage as that image, and therefore, you know, massive amounts of traffic. So image is a key one. So that's what's called on-site SEO. It's making sure that you do the best you can do with your on-site stuff. There is also off-site SEO, which is things like getting people linking to you. So if you can put your business on a networking site, you know, maybe a networking that you go to, if you've got a retail premises, you know, friends, different businesses that are in that area, get links to their site, ask them to link back to your site. Those links almost act by Google, telling Google that this site's okay. So if we've got a two-way link, so for example, if Emma linked in a blog to my website talking about something I was doing, and I was writing a blog and I linked to Emma's site, that's called a backlink with Google. And it means it's like a double thumbs up that, you know, her site's getting massive traffic and she's recommending my site, and my site's getting massive traffic and it's recommending Emma's site. So Google see that as a two-way relationship then. I'm talking about links. Something that is a really underhanded thing in the industry is for people to link farm. So those emails you get when you've decided to buy a new domain name, which Emma and I buy lots of, they then send you an email or they call you up to say we can get you on page.
Oh, Christ on a bike.
We can get you on page one of Google. You know, we can increase your rankings, all the rest of it. What they actually do is they have like fictitious websites called link farming. So they'll just literally put your website everywhere. You might get up there quite quickly, but actually to your detriment, because Google wants that they do find out that they're on it all the time, that you'll just literally, you can get blacklisted and you never get your website seen again. And there's also links that sometimes attach to your site, so you can go to Google and get those removed as well. So sometimes that does happen. Usually more so to people like me when you're in the industry, that'll kind of jump on the bandwagon of trying to attach themselves to you. But yeah, just run for the hills if anybody rings you up and says they're going to get you on page one of Google for 175 quid. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the emails that say, I can get you 3,000 Facebook likes for $4. Really? Or really, can you? Let's talk a little bit more about that.
I'm sure you have as much fun as I do, Emma.
Yeah, totally. Totally. You're too late, Polly. The postman's been in and gone back out again.
Oh, bless her.
It happened without her knowing. Would anybody like to ask us anything? Because we've already done 55 minutes.
We can talk.
Oh, we can talk. We can talk. Would anybody like to ask anything? Would anybody... Shush! Shush! I'm talking to the people. I'm talking to the people and to Naomi. Don't know who's actually watching. There we are. Look. Look. So, would anybody like to ask us anything? Would anybody like to go through anything? We're also talking about an app, aren't we?
We are.
Very exciting. So the new magazine went out this week, and that's kind of going to be, it's not going to be the same as the app, but the app's going to run on from the new magazine, which is so exciting.
And can you have your new magazine is amazing.
Isn't it gorgeous? I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it so much. And there's an article on there called "Is Your Site Shite?" I'm not going to get it through the ad manager to get ads running on it with all of the sweary words that are in it. So Anita says, can you have too many words on your website? Mine is way too wordy.
Okay, so what I would say in terms of words is less is more, but it's a balance between having enough words to be engaging and for SEO purposes, without bombarding and just going, blah, here's all the information that you need to know. So what I would say is if you've got a lot of stuff to say and the content needs to be on there for SEO and for it to be engaging, it's about making sure that your site's visually beautiful as well. So you're balancing the visual stuff with the content. So I've built some really heavy content sites, but if you break it up with visual stuff, it just makes that user experience much better. And also taking them deeper into the site, like we were discussing before, in an Alice in Wonderland type effect, that it could be a word, Anita, about coaching that they can click on, and then we'll go into another page about coaching and what coaching is, whatever that is. Or it can be done through visual icons. So you'll see, if you go onto my website, on my, you know, want more information, want to work with me, want help, it actually says. If you click on that, there's my packages. When you click onto the packages, there's more information behind the packages, and then you can go one step further beyond that. Just as in Emma's site, for example, on her about page, the bottom of her about page, she's then got a button that says more about me, about Rebels and Rockstars, testimonials, public speaking. So she's not bombarded you with everything on her about page. What she's done is taken you on a journey to tell you a little bit about herself. And then if you want more, you can go deeper into the site. But it's not compromising SEO. It's not compromising the information that needs to go on there. It's just making sure that it's stripped down and put in the right place for a customer journey side of things.
Yeah. I know that one of the interesting ones that we talked about was the fact that when you don't love your website, you don't share it.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that Naomi probably hasn't shared her website for most of this year. And as I now look on her website, on her Facebook page, it is jam-packed full of links to her website.
Yay.
What a difference a website you love makes.
Yes, it does. And I actually was smiling at myself yesterday when I was putting my new freebie out there, of thinking it is a while since I've done this. And it was because I'd begun to really cringe when I looked at my own website. And even though people would say to me, love your website, I'd kind of go, do you? Because I'd fallen out of love with it. But it just had to be the right timing for me to get my new one done. So it does, I said before, it sets you free in terms of being able to share it out online, and you'll be seeing lots more of me. Now I'm
I've popped a link to your site there, and it is just so lovely, and you should be super duper proud of it, because I think it is just so nice, and I can't wait to see it grow and evolve, because if that's the starting point,
that is the starting point. Yeah.
Can only be epicer and epicer and epicer. So, one last thing before we go. You released a blog yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about the reasons behind your rebrand.
Yeah.
So could we finish off with kind of a little bit of a lowdown? Because I've been talking about brand quite a bit and rebranding and what that all means. And I interviewed Vicky on Monday as part of the Rockstar Festival, and we talked about kind of the depth of a brand. But I know that we touched on the fact that you just didn't fit with branching out anymore.
Yeah.
Can we go to the other reasons behind that rebrand?
Yeah, so I'd gone through a lot of personal change last year, through bereavement, through loss, I lost my brother, I lost my relationship breakup, moved house, moved into a new relationship, just like anything that could happen happened. And Emma, bless you, was there to save me and pick me up through a lot of that, of kind of that wave of change that all came quite quickly. And I did talk about change earlier in the week, and I'm going to put that on my blog as well, of like how you kind of can become resilient to change. So that was one side of things. And the other was me just not connecting with my old branding and kind of cringing at the kind of, I had a social media tree. My branding was really strong. Everybody used to compliment me on how strong my branding was. But it was a tree of social media icons that I no longer could connect with that well. And it was really
quite precious about it, weren't you? Because I remember you going, well, we could maybe lose the tree, but
I had the lovely background. So the tree did go a few times, and a butterfly came in, and there were the kind of, I played around with it for a while, and I designed as well. So for me, it was kind of like my first logo I actually put together myself. I sent it to Emma on Messenger, and it was lovely, and it was nice, and it was okay, but it was just okay. And I was so close to it myself, I just couldn't see kind of past it. And then I just made a decision. I'd had a conversation with Vicky. I've seen Vicky's work before. It's amazing. And I just thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this and make sure that it is totally right. And working with Vicky has been just amazing. Because for me, she helped me understand who I was in working through the brand process. So what my kind of morals are, what I stand for, everything. She could see more clearly than I could see myself, who I was and how that brand should be developed. And there is no way, if I'd done it myself, that it would be what it is today. So if you're kind of thinking about working with Vicky, having any branding done or whatever, then just don't even hesitate. And I know Emma works with the direct as well. And I shared this actually the other day, because this is, I've got in my frame here, this is my mood board that Vicky put together, and it's just it is so me. And I think going through that process of branding really helped me identify with what it was that I wanted out there, and also gave me the confidence. I mean, I wobbled with the name for a while. Do you remember? Of kind of
it's all right. Oh, just get on with it.
Yeah. All the domain names and everything. But I think it's just that gives you that confidence to know that it is actually the real you. And I know now I'm very, very comfortable in my brand. It totally represents me, and everything I stand for. And interestingly, since then we've got 6 projects together, Vicky and I, at the moment, and obviously we're working together on our program as well, because she's very, very, very talented at bringing the kind of whole personality, the whole brand to life, and I'm very talented at bringing the whole website to life. So we are perfect match in that we do come and we work very well together, and we actually love all the same stuff. We were laughing the other day that we love pink and glitter and not unicorns and stuff.
Yeah, you're both the same. And out of blue tack, look what I've made you.
Oh, Emma, I love that. Thank you. I love that.
If I blue tack later, I will put it on Facebook and you can tell me I made a heart out of it.
Oh, thank you. We'll have to send some of these, look.
Oh, they're nice. They're nice. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Go and check out Naomi's website because it is bloody beautiful. What freebies you got on there, missus?
I've just done a new ebook, which is the Big Beautiful Website Guide, which is 35 pages of everything you need to know about your website, whether you've already got a website or whether you're just starting out. And there's a planner and a checklist and everything in there. I've got a social media planner, which you can print out and stick on your desk. And I've also got my 7 days to blossom and shine online, which is a 7-day program that you can access totally free too. So 3 freebies on there.
Lovely. Go and get them. She's epic. So thank you so much for spending the time with me today. Have a lovely Friday.
I will.
And a gorgeous weekend, whatever you're doing. And I will speak to everybody really soon.
All right. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye for now. Bye.